here's Brody Brazil.
Hey, welcome back to the channel, and what I suppose is about to be a little bit of a realization video for me. I mean, this thought, it's not brand new. I guess it's floated around in the back of my mind. It's certainly not foreign to me, but it's never really been brought to the forefront until recently. Somebody suggested this on Twitter, the commonalities or lack thereof between SAP Center and the Oakland Coliseum. Two sports venues that I have spent hundreds and thousands of hours in over the years. And that was well before I got into this career, like professionally as a broadcaster. I grew up at the Coliseum, learning baseball, falling in love with the A's. Same thing at the Tank in the early 90s. Knew nothing about hockey. Who are these Sharks? Absolutely loved the experience, loved the sport, and grew with it over the decades. So these two venues, obviously very, very important to me. Probably same thing with you if you're watching this video, but think about it for just a second. They could not be more opposite than they are in existence. In a lot of different ways, I'll dive into a couple here, but just think about this. Location, SAP Center or HP Pavilion or Compaq Center, remember that era? Or San Jose Arena. It was built downtown on purpose. And while downtown San Jose has only grown a little bit and is about to expand greatly even more, which we'll discuss in just a second, it's always been centrally located downtown near other things that people already went to versus the Coliseum, which has been smack dab in the middle of an industrial neighborhood. You walk the blocks around the Coliseum, there's just not much there that people are otherwise going to before and after games. Amenities, destinations. The Coliseum has never really changed the immediate neighborhood around it, and vice versa. The neighborhood surrounding the Coliseum complex, it hasn't necessarily adapted or changed to benefit the Coliseum over all the years. Okay, from location to main or primary tenant, or tenants, shall I say plural, as it relates to the Coliseum. Baseball and football have been the big deal. Well, at least football was. The Raiders came and left, and then came back in the mid-90s, and then left again, the Coliseum, versus the Sharks, who have been the thing at the Tank over all these years. Now, I am purposely omitting all the other teams that were not the main tenants here. Like, there have been other pro sports teams, soccer included, that called the Coliseum home, or at the Tank, right, roller hockey team or arena football team over the years. I'm not including them because these venues have catered to their primary tenants. In the case of the Coliseum, that's what made it so much more difficult and complex and worse. When they built Mount Davis specifically for the Raiders, they made it more of a multi-purpose, multi-sport venue instead of having the intimate feel of a ballpark and a baseball stadium. Like, there are special things about that. They made it into some place that, could serve a football crowd just as much as a baseball team. So the Coliseum 100% got worse because it was trying to put on three different hats. Well, two, but you understand. Versus SAP Center, which has only really existed to benefit the main tenant. Now, granted, both these places have had concerts and other things. I mean, monster trucks at both, but especially at the Coliseum every, February, March? The point being here is that if you have one tenant, that's optimal. You can mold your building around serving one team and making it better for one purpose instead of pulling on the rope a little bit here, pulling a little bit there, trying to benefit everybody. That just doesn't work out well. How about upgrades and updates? For SAP Center, since it opened, the reason it doesn't feel old, like this is a big deal, because it's been constantly updated since 1993. You need new lights? No problem. Done. Need a new scoreboard for like the third time? Here's a brand new center hung that they just put in this past offseason. Sound system, everything. Upgrades, maintenance, you name it, they've done it to SAP Center. In fact, Sharks team president Jonathan Becker told me this a while back, and it's just a mind-numbing fact. They have spent more money upgrading SAP Center over the years than it actually cost to initially build the building. Think about that for a second. And I realize there's been inflation since 1993, but they have spent more money updating the tank and upgrading the tank than it cost to initially build the building back in the late 80s, early 90s. That in comparison to the Coliseum. And let me just say, the Coliseum right now is way better than it has ever been, with areas for the kids and the food trucks and the West Side Club and the East Side Club. They've done so many things, and the tree house, I could go on and on. The Coppola seating area, the theater boxes, like all these things which have made a better experience of the Coliseum, but those have only come in the late 2010s. What improvements were there at the Coliseum? Exclude Mount Davis, that was a construction project. What upgrades happened from literally the 80s to the 2010s? No, I'm waiting for you to tell me. Yeah, right? Nothing. Barely anything happened to improve the fan experience over like 30 years. So people talk about, well, you can catch up, you can fix it. No, you really can't. When you neglected it for 3+ decades, it's really hard, if not impossible, to catch up. Not to mention the Coliseum is built down in a hill. SAP Center is built above the ground. There's a lot of changes that are possible inside that building versus outside there at the Coliseum. So yeah, upgrades have been a huge part. And again, that's the reason why the tank, which is about to be 30 years old this year. Yeah, I said it. Did you realize that? SAP Center is about to turn 30 this year, but it feels like brand new every time you walk in. It's more than half the age of the Coliseum, but it doesn't feel that way because they've constantly upgraded it. They've constantly kept it up to speed and up to date. And lastly here, the outlook, which is amazing, right? The A's are desperately seeking replacement of the Coliseum. They're trying to get to a new venue at Howard Terminal. It's not just, the nature of how antiquated the Coliseum is. It's a big part of the location of where it is versus SAP Center, where I'm saying here seemingly permanent, because tell me there's a better spot in San Jose for the Sharks. There's not. Downtown, where this exists, a short walk away from San Pedro Square, parking, restaurants, easy access, 87, 280, 101, everything is right there for you. I say seemingly permanent because this expansion project of downtown San Jose and what Google is doing and buying up all this land and building out their campus, they're going to surround the tank. They might smother the tank. They might make it difficult to get in and get out of the building. There's a BART station, by the way, planned for right across the street from SAP Center, which some of this could be good, right? But to what extent would they sacrifice all the construction and expansion, sacrifice the integrity of making sure fans can get in and out of SAP Center for hockey games and events? So I'm saying seemingly permanent because honestly, name a better location, name a better site venue, a site for a venue for the Sharks or other entertainment options in San Jose. There's not. That's it. Versus the Coliseum where you're like, okay, people have been going here for a while, but I can think of like a couple different locations that would be better. One big one, including Howard Terminal just north of Jack London Square in Oakland. So it's amazing, again, the comparison. These two could not be more opposite. One that has been dated for a long time, needs to go, and the other one which you just hope can stay and maintain in its current position. So again, complete opposites for the Coliseum and the tank. This is just something that I guess I've always known that in the back of my head, but I never really put this thought in the front of my mind until somebody brought it up. And yeah, it's trippy for me. Here in 2023, that means I've been going to the Coliseum for almost 41 years, and I've been going to the tank for 30 years as of December of 2023.